Crash! The plane hit the water, screams filled the air, salt water rushed in cold and dark, panic surged through the passengers. Sarah, a young doctor, clung to a piece of the plane. She coughed, sputtering seawater. Her heart pounded in her chest. She had to survive. Beside her, a burly man gasped for air. This was John, a seasoned survivalist. He scanned the wreckage, his eyes searching for anything useful. A young boy, barely in his teens, whimpered nearby. He was Timmy, traveling alone, now orphaned by the crash. Sarah reached out, comforting him with a gentle touch. The waves pushed them towards an island. The relentless ocean currents had carried them for days, and now, finally, they saw land. It was a glimmer of hope in their otherwise dire situation. It was small, a speck of green in the vast ocean. The island seemed almost insignificant against the endless blue, but to the weary travelers, it was a sanctuary. Exhausted, they dragged themselves onto the beach. Every muscle ached, and their bodies were pushed to the limit. The sand felt both foreign and welcoming beneath their feet. Sarah checked on the injured. She moved quickly, her hands steady despite the chaos. Her medical training was now their lifeline. John took charge, organizing the survivors. His voice was calm and authoritative, giving them a sense of direction and purpose. He directed them to gather supplies from the wreckage. Every piece of debris was a potential tool for survival. They needed food, water, shelter. The basics of survival became their primary focus, and every effort was made to secure these essentials. Days turned into nights. The passage of time was marked by the changing sky, a constant reminder of their predicament. Hunger gnawed at their bellies. The initial adrenaline rush had faded, replaced by the persistent ache of starvation. They ate what little they salvaged. A few bags of pretzels, some candy bars. These meager rations were all that stood between them and despair. John taught them how to find edible plants. His knowledge of survival skills was invaluable, turning the jungle into a source of sustenance. Fear was a constant companion. Every rustle in the bushes, every unfamiliar sound, kept them on edge. The island held unknown dangers. The dense foliage and shadowy undergrowth were both a refuge and a threat. Strange animal noises echoed through the jungle. The sounds were both fascinating and terrifying, a reminder of the wild world they were now a part of. The crashing waves reminded them of their isolation. Each wave was a reminder of the vast ocean that separated them from the world they once knew. The storm hit suddenly. Rain lashed down, relentless and cold. Wind ripped through the makeshift shelters they had built. They huddled together, shivering.
John's experience proved invaluable. He directed them to a cave he had discovered. It provided some protection from the raging elements.
Sarah tended to the injured, her medical skills stretched to their limits. She used salvaged plastic and leaves to bandage wounds. She prayed for their survival.
Timmy, surprisingly, showed remarkable resilience. He helped gather firewood, his young face etched with determination. He was a beacon of hope in the darkness. One day, Captain John returned from scouting the island. His eyes were wide with excitement, and his steps were hurried. He had been gone for hours, and the camp was buzzing with curiosity about what he might have discovered. Excitement lit up his face. He could barely contain his enthusiasm as he approached the group, his breath coming in quick bursts. "I found something! Come with me!" he shouted. His voice echoed through the camp, drawing everyone's attention. He led them to a clearing. The path was treacherous, but their curiosity and hope pushed them forward. There, in the middle, lay the wreckage of a small plane. It was a sight that filled them with a mix of awe and disbelief. It was old, but intact. The metal was rusted and the paint was peeling, but it was a beacon of hope in their dire situation. And most importantly, it had a radio, a potential lifeline, a way to reach out to the world beyond the island. Hope surged through the survivors. They felt a renewed sense of purpose and energy. They worked tirelessly, cannibalizing parts from the wrecked plane. Every piece they salvaged brought them one step closer to salvation. John, with his knowledge of mechanics, took the lead. His hands moved with precision and determination. Days later, the radio crackled to life. The sound was faint at first, but it grew stronger, filling them with hope. They sent out a distress signal, their voices hoarse with anticipation. Each word was a plea for rescue, a cry for help. They waited, their hopes hanging by a thread. Every second felt like an eternity as they listened for a response, praying for a miracle. The sound of a helicopter broke the silence, its blades slicing through the air with a rhythmic thrum. The survivors rushed out of the jungle, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. Their faces were a mixture of disbelief and joy. The helicopter circled overhead, its presence a lifeline in their darkest hour, a beacon of hope against the blue sky. It represented salvation and the end of their ordeal. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she watched the rescue team descend. They were safe. They were going home. The weight of their struggle began to lift. The ordeal was finally over. Relief washed over them like a tidal wave, cleansing their fears and anxieties. Timmy clung to Sarah, his small arms wrapped tightly around her, his eyes wide with wonder. He looked up at the helicopter, a symbol of their survival. He had faced his fears and survived, emerging stronger and braver than before. He had learned the true meaning of courage, a lesson that would stay with him forever. As the helicopter lifted off, carrying them away from the island, a sense of closure settled over the group. They looked back one last time, their eyes lingering on the place that had tested their limits. The island, once a prison, now represented their resilience, their teamwork, their will to survive. It was a testament to their strength. They were leaving as different people, forever changed by their experience. Forever marked by their experience, they carried with them the lessons learned and the bonds forged in adversity.